Okay, this is the regular meeting of the Fairhaven Historic Preservation Commission. Adequate notice this meeting has been made pursuant to provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. At the time of the board reorganization in January of this year, the board adopted its regular meeting schedule for the year. Notice of the schedule was sent and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 26, 2024, and notice to the Two River Times on February 7th, 2024, as well as supplemented and published notice on July 11th, 2024, to advise of the Zoom hybrid format. That notice was also published in the bulletin board in Borough Hall and has remained continuously posted there as required by the statute. A copy of the notice has been available to the public and is on file at the office of the Borough Clerk. A copy of the notice has also been sent to such members of the public as have requested such information in accordance with the statute. Adequate notice having been given, the board secretary is directed to include this statement in the minutes of the meeting. Could we get a roll call?
Mr. Pavlik?
Here.
Mrs. Drummond?
Yes, here.
Mr. Anderson? Mrs. Mullen? Mr. Schluter?
Here.
Mrs. Crisora?
Here.
And Mr. Smith?
Here. Okay, we have a couple of items on for new business. The first of which is Carol Rose on behalf of Douglas Element Realty. You may come up. And that is 803 River Road, Block 50, Lot 21. It's a building that we know pretty well. The purpose of the application is for removal of past, you can come right in the center here, removal of past tenant signage and enlarging the signage in its place. Are you Carol Rose?
Hi.
Are you Carol Rose?
I am. Carol.
Yeah, hi,
I'm
Carol. How are
sorry.
you?
I was distracted by all the changes.
So we'll hear you.
Okay, well, we had two tenants that were upstairs. The building is owned by, Andrew Anderson, and he is our landlord. I'm an employee of Douglas Element, and we took over that second floor when our tenants moved out, and I believe you all have copies of what it used to look like, what we want it to look like, and the dimensions that our marketing department believed would be pertinent to your review and decision.
Yeah, and it looks as though it's an exterior PVC face painted to match that which is there. Is it going to be textured at all, or is it flat facade? And that's what's there right now, and that's what is what the other tenants' signs were as well. Is that correct?
Correct. The other tenant that is staying is Positive Vibes.
Yeah.
But our Douglas Elliman sign will be replaced with the new larger redesigned sign. So the Sport Couture, the Pilates, and the Douglas Elliman will all be replaced with the larger Next Move is Yours sign.
Right. So my thought on this is it's a sign that we have sort of prevalent in the historic district. There's a number of signs, smaller signs amongst the businesses that are identical to this that we've approved. It's identical to the sign that previously was there. I think actually the look is a little bit less cluttered to have a larger sign as opposed to a number of smaller signs. And obviously the building, he's done such a great job with the building that, you know, clearly we have a latitude to, you know, to give him for just how well that building has been restored and his attention to detail and so forth. So I'm in favor.
We love the building. We love our landlord.
Yeah. I think it looks great. I think it's consistent with other signs that we've approved. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on it.
I have to agree with you.
I assume it's the same, it's blue, like that navy blue. color.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly the same element colors, just with a phone number and identifying ourselves as a real estate company, which I guess a lot of people in Fairhaven did not know, because it's a New York company.
Right.
It's expanded out to there. And I guess the only question I have is, we have gooseneck lighting on the building for that element sign. Would it be possible to do that? I'm not sure whether there's electric or whether we would even do it, but I was just wondering whether that.
You mean to have like a gooseneck sort of down lighting on the sign itself?
Mhm.
Well, it's hard for me to say yes to that, only because it's not before us.
Yeah,
But that concept is certainly something I think we'd be in favor of. It's sort of a historic design. So if that's something that, there was interest to do, there's probably no electric there, so we'd probably be a little bit more involved in its placement of the lighting, but that's certainly something that we'd be open to, and I don't necessarily think, with the latitude that we've given some of the signage and the fact that that would probably be more of a historic look, I don't think it would be such a problem. But without knowing the type of lighting, the style, it's hard to really just give a blanket yes on something like that.
understood.
Any thoughts or comments from the audience or anybody on Zoom raising a hand? No, none having been heard, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for the reasons represented by the applicant and as contained in the application dated 8/20/24.
I'll second that.
Mr. Pavlik,
Yes.
Mrs. Drummond.
Yes.
Mr. Schluter,
Yes.
Mrs. Priscilla,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes. Okay, congrats, we'll put something together, and we'll email it to you.
Okay, wonderful.
I appreciate your coming.
Thank you so much for hearing me out.
Congratulations, looks very nice.
Thank you. We have a wonderful marketing department.
The next applicant is Roseanne Yarusi, 813 River Road, Block 50, Lot 18. It's another signage, completely different than the other one. Now, a different sign, replacement of the existing sign for a new business that is on the corner of Gillespie and River Road. And you are Roseanne?
I am.
Hi, Roseanne. Nice to see you. I know you had your party, the grand
Yes.
opening this weekend. It
Great.
looked like you had a lot of people there, so welcome to town. We'll hear you.
I just want to put the sign up. I have it ready to go. I need your approval. And I'm actually in line with the other signs that are there. It's the same color navy blue as Carol, the interior decorator that's upstairs. And then Mod 21 is the retailer on the same floor as me. So I did the same exact color as Carol, so it wouldn't be off.
Okay. And the sign that you're going to be replacing, obviously, is the green line sign.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think
the owner, yes, Sean Bailey sign,
Yeah,
yeah.
we previously approved that as well as the Clementine sign previously and the Mod 39 sign.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, again, a flat surface, or is it going to be any?
Exactly like the same, I used the same exact company in Red Bank that Mod 21 and Carol used.
Okay. And a lifestyle boutique, what kind of things?
It's a
do you
gift
sell?
shop
Okay,
with beautiful gifts. And then I brought in, because I've been in the children's wear business for over 40 years in New York. And I brought in just a couple of gifty type baby lines. And then I brought in a couple of women's lines, loungewear and a beautiful sweater line, a couple of beautiful sweater lines. But it's basically 3/4 gift and a quarter of gift for baby, which are clothes. And then the women's, little bit. Scarves, gloves, accessory, things like that.
did you have a business elsewhere before you came here?
I have a business right now. I've been in business in New York City for over 40 years. I'm a New York children's wear rep.
Oh, okay.
And this is something I've wanted to do forever. And, it's time. I did
What made
it.
you pick Fairhaven?
What?
What made you pick Fairhaven?
You want to know the truth? During COVID, we would drive around and look. I have family in Rumson and in Ocean. I'm from Scotch Plains, soon hopefully to be down here. And we would drive around and I love this area. I just love it. And I was looking and looking and this just happened. My niece, who's married to my nephew, lives in Rumson. And his mother-in-law saw that Sean had a rental, that it was available. And I went in and I liked it and I did it. It was just timing is everything. Because I was looking up the street in the Acme parking lot. The rents were through the roof, crazy. This is very good. And it's 3 little rooms. It gives it a nice flair instead of just walking into one big room. Each room has a different feeling. You have to come. come in.
Will do.
Sold me.
Great, well, welcome. You know, similar to the other application, this is a type and format of sign that we previously approved. It's consistent with a number of other signs that exist in the historic district. It's tasteful, obviously, it will complement the other signs that are there. And I see no prohibition or reason why we shouldn't approve this one, consistent with what we ruled on other applications very similar. Are there any thoughts or comments from the audience? Anything on Zoom? Okay, for those reasons, I'll make an application that we approve the sign as proposed in the application. Reasons made by the applicant here today and also as contained in the 8/22/24 application. Second,
I'll second.
Mr. Pavlik,
yes.
Mrs. Drummond,
Yes.
Mr. Schluter,
Yes.
Mrs. Priscilla,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yeah, great.
Okay,
Welcome to
thank you
town.
so much.
Congratulations. I'll put together a
you.
memorandum of action and we'll get it out to you and
So I have to wait, you'll send me something for the approval to let it.
you'll be getting something from Sheila.
Okay,
So yeah, that'll be an email from her containing our decision indicating that we've approved it. And then you just present that to whoever in the building department you need to go to in order to get the final sign approval.
would that be Joe here?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
make sure they all have a copy of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, I met Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank
Excellent.
you so much.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, the last application that we have as far as new business is concerned is Brian and Kristen Murphy, 56 Fairhaven Road, Block 27, Lot 5, renovation of an existing garage. Okay, we know this application, we know the house. I think we've heard, we heard your original application, we were doing some front porch modifications. We actually, I think this is the house that we've talked about, that we've actually been at odds a little bit with the zoning department in terms of allowing you or wanting you to build a bigger porch than they wanted you to build. But we think that however it resolved, worked out great. The house is an absolute addition to Fairhaven Road. It looks period correct. It's far away better than what was there, even though the house that was there previously was somewhat historic, even though it wasn't a historic house. And so now you guys want to rebuild the garage. So tell us about what you're looking to do.
This garage, I believe on the property was, I don't know actually what it was, but it was in, and fallen into disrepair. The person we bought the house from just really hadn't put much, into it, to upkeep it. We had a massive tree fall 2 years ago across the backyard onto the top of the, garage. Like, I mean, effectively completely almost smashed the inside of the garage. With the garage in the condition it was in, with the tree on top of it, and the damage that it caused to the top, we need to make substantial repairs to it. There's leaks, there's the foundations, the structure itself is effectively starting to fall apart. We hired an architect to come in and take a look at it, how to make it a little bit, work for our family a little bit better. And as you can see there, it's effectively expanding the garage slightly off to the left-hand side and putting a little bit of extra storage space into the back as well. Yes.
No, we are building it to mirror everything about the home itself. So the color, the siding, the windows with the, what's it called, colonial grid. Whatever you call that, the shingles, all of the things will match what's existing on the house.
So just because the last page of the application has an element of rendering.
Yeah,
That's not prepared by the architect. I mean, it's like a
Yes.
CAD drawing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who is the architect?
Honduras,
Okay. Did he provide any more specifications or anything, or is this what he generated?
that's all being generated, plus the, the building.
And the view that we have of the 4 doors, will they be in place as the garage doors? Is that what primarily going to be visible from the street?
Yes.
How
So,
do they open that way?
They're slide.
They're
So the
slided.
two on the outside are just like windows effectively. And the two in the middle will slide.
Oh, so one vehicle will be able to go in there? Or?
No,
No, so it's not gonna be a garage.
it's being more or less.
It's an
more of a
accessory
storage
structure.
and,
Right.
yeah.
Ah, gotcha, I was also confused now, okay.
It doesn't
What's
fit a
the
garage.
structure gonna be used for?
It doesn't fit a, call now. So the doors are too small for our cars. It's partially storage and partially a extra area for our kids to have a space to hang out.
It's, how far back is, the garage is probably about 125 feet off Fairhaven Road.
I'm not good with numbers like that, but yeah, you can see it from the road just
Yeah.
into the back.
Yeah, and I know for the record, that was one thing that we were even going back and forth on, is whether or not it was even visible from the street, but obviously the photograph that you provided showed that at least a portion of the structure, which probably would contain the sliding, the door windows and
Yes.
the door, but probably not that section
Not
that
the
would be to
extra.
the left with the column, may not even be visible from the street.
They won't
I
be.
don't think it is because with the central doors is the existing structure and you can't see from the street. There's like a holly tree there currently. You can't see that.
It's also a very narrow driveway with the shrubbery on one side and the house. That's the one drawback of the house is it's actually so tight next to my neighbors that, it's almost like it's like a corridor almost up to where you would see just the garage, just the garage.
Is the footprint the same as the garage, or are you making it bigger?
We're expanding it.
It is bigger on going to the left side.
Correct.
And deeper as well?
Slightly, yeah.
And I shouldn't have to go to the zoning board for that.
We do not. We are staying within all of the,
Setbacks?
yes.
Setbacks
all of
and
those-
floor space
Floor
area.
space area, all of the things. We do not anticipate.
Ordinarily, what we require on applications like this is to have a detail in terms of the type of building materials that you're utilizing. I know you're saying it's gonna match the house, so I assume that what you're looking to do would be, if you have either a wood or wood simulating clapboard on the main house. a
Exactly.
Party board, is that what you have on it?
Yeah, I asked, our builder is Gil Brand, he knew we were coming before here, so I asked him kind of those questions to have more detail, and he's Gil, but he came back with 1x6 clapboard siding, color and spacing to match existing house, architectural roof shingles, color and style to match existing house, doors and windows to have permanent colonial style grills to match existing house, gutters to match existing house.
What type of gutters are on the house, just, you guys?
I don't know, like,
I think they're just standard.
Question?
I think so.
What's the dimensions of the building? What it will be, front and side?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Is it gonna be a complete knockdown vehicle?
No.
Not quite. We're gonna keep some of it, yeah, whatever we can.
Yeah, we
say.
have we have to maintain a setback off of my neighbor to the north.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Because we have to maintain a setback.
Oh, right,
so
yeah, yeah.
it's
That's
A large portion of the structure.
Got it. Okay, so just, I gotta have to repeat what you said, because I can't write that fast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Some of those things that your builder had told you and you're representing to us are things that we have to put in the approval, and it's important. So 1x6 party board, clapboard siding. He mentioned, give me the roof description again.
Architectural roof shingles, color and style to match existing.
And then, permanent,
Colonial style grills on the windows and doors.
We hired the same builder as who did the renovation and what we discussed earlier. So he's familiar with, he's done a lot of work in the district, historic district. He's familiar with what we need to get done to make the, the house look, as consistent as
I know
possible.
Bill.
Yeah, good.
The drawing isn't showing me how it's really gonna look compared to what the house looks like. It doesn't show any of the eave detail.
Well, that's just a kind of basic drawing that our architect had done. We don't. I mean, I think all the details are in the,
Right, but the
Yes.
details are for the house, and they're not showing it how it relates on this structure compared to the house.
So
I'm not.
I'm not sure what we can
well,
provide you.
Look, your drawing shows a different way that the roof is done with this little soffit off the front, which doesn't correspond to anything on the house, but it's not giving me enough detail to see how that's actually gonna be done. You don't have the straight soffits on the house, but you're showing them on this.
So that,
So I can't really ascertain because on this drawing, it's showing it, the corner kind of cut off. But,
that is it, that I understand.
so I really can't make a judgment on the details.
Would they be in this, I mean, that's just a drawing, he did in his office, I think there is an idea of what it looks like.
Plan for the garage or just for the
This
house?
is the garage plans, we submitted them with the application.
Those were submitted to the application.
Yeah,
Those were submitted to me.
this is what, emailed you, you said you would print the copy of it? Yeah. But I can bring it up.
Yeah, what do you Yeah, that's kind of, all right, so then, that's what I was talking about, because the only thing we did get was this, drawing. So we're gonna need to see those, if you could possibly. Yeah. So just read it to the record exactly what you're looking at.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Joe, well, just read it to the record what we have. I'm looking at page A4, it's a Condor's architect plan. So we know what we're looking at, because you did
Yes.
refer to it.
Yeah.
Well, you have to indicate what you're talking, the date, who authored them, and what page you're talking about. You want me to?
The date is 6/19/24. With reference to Anthony Honduras, the architect. Sheet number A4. I don't think the side is showing just a flat soffit with the pork chops. We really can't see that from the road, because that's gonna be behind the house. So I think we're more concerned about this detail.
Is there a detail provided in the plan, in the specifications?
Flat soffit. We don't really see the sides, but it does have the pork chops on the sides. Normally, we like to see the
Yeah.
returns on those.
I don't think those are visible.
I don't think they're visible from the street either.
There would be any kind of a detail here, though, unless it's.
Yeah, it's just showing part of the roof shingle going across. And this sitting on top of it.
So the problem that there is with the plans, first of all, great to provide much more information about the plans as part of the drawings that have just been provided. But it doesn't really show the specific detail in terms of dimensions for the gable that is depicted in the garage, or the section just below that gable in terms of the depth and the size. And that's, I think, what you're looking for, Joe, right?
Yeah, I think it says it's got a 12-inch overhang on the sides, so I would think that it's 12 inches on the front.
That detail should be in there.
Yeah, I mean, how would the builder,
Yes,
But
it actually does show, if you open this up, 10%.
this is much more. It's just showing this black. That's the black right there. But is that the same as on the house? Yeah, it might be similar to what's on the porch inside. But I think these look, they don't look that, they look at that angle. But it's hard to tell.
Yeah, how typical is a 12-inch overhang?
Yeah, that's pretty common. Well,
How about from a historic perspective?
they vary.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at this, it's not something that's, I look at the garage that's there. I mean, I think we have
Much
adequate
nicer
detail to
than
see what it
the
is.
garage that's there.
Um, And I think it, I mean, it's not inconsistent with the house that we've approved. And, it's such a distance off the street, I don't know that that depth is even that noticeable. And I think, you know, if the garage structure was an original structure or was something that would really be an addition to the house, I think there'd be more of a discussion, but the garage is mid-century,
Yeah, it's much later.
you know, garage. With, what type, I mean, what type of material is on the garage? It probably has like a flat, does it have a vinyl siding on it or something like that, or what's? the material
Yeah,
of the garage?
I think the last time that garage was touched had to be 40 years ago. I mean, it's been, I think what was original in it? I don't even know if anything is original, anything left is original in it. It's just, it's a garage literally that just fallen completely into disrepair. And then obviously the tree fell on it, so. I don't think there's any historic significance to the garage that's there. Like, I don't think there's anything there that was
No, that's.
worth saving.
much
Like, it
later.
wasn't really much there.
Yeah.
I think it was just simply painted it. I mean, it was simply built as a, in addition to the house years ago.
It's probably a camping, I think it's, she probably built that.
Now, the new stuff is very similar to what is existing there now
Yeah,
with the overhangs, the way it looks from the picture.
are you satisfied from the dimensions as to it being consistent with that
Yeah.
house?
What's the length of your property going back to the garage?
It'll say on the survey on the front page, that not too.
Oh, like, we didn't have this, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
did submit it.
That's my
Sorry.
fault,
That's okay.
because I was gonna make copies for you from her digital plans, because she said to submit the hard copies, but we had talked about me printing. them.
yeah, no, it's okay, as long as we have it, it's not, it's that complicated.
Should be right in the front. Yeah.
It's deep, it's a very deep and narrow property.
That's like mine,
Yeah.
that's why I was curious, like.
Yeah.
How back
It goes back than this. It goes all the way to.
No,
Outside of the rear wall. Back up to there.
So how many, like, do you have 50-foot frontage or 75, or what is the frontage?
Of our house?
Yeah,
So
the whole,
75.
the property.
Like the width?
Oh, the
Yeah.
width?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the length, that kind of gives you an idea of what. if you have-
It'll be in-
Half the drawing on the front page shows you all that.
hand it over. You sure you want this?
You're looking for the dimensions, that'll be on the survey in the front.
On the front, okay.
Yeah, it's not that easy to sample from. Oh, it's probably a little.
Yeah, there, yeah, okay.
Oh, that goes a lot further back than the driveway.
Yeah, I mean, then the,
It's deep.
wow,
Wow, it does go back.
where the property backs up to what?
The Chris and Vanessa Greer, whose home is on River Lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes directly back to.
Yeah. It says, what, 297 to the back?
Is that what it is, 297?
That's wild.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
75.
And 75 frontage.
275, yeah.
263 on this side, 295.
Yeah, right.
Long and.
That's really deep.
That's a lot,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
You have a lot of
Kim like
space.
it.
You can have a
Right.
pool back.
Again, I
there.
think that was one of the things that we
No,
discussed,
not
the abnormal size of that lot, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, trying to enforce contemporary zoning regulations and standards don't apply to something, should
Right.
apply to something like that. That's been like, your lot's been a bit of a poster child for us, the discussions in the past. So, any other thoughts or comments about it? Anything from the audience?
The only comment I would make is that the picture shows obviously the garage behind a tree that's in full foliage, so. In the winter, you will see the details of the. The gable, which I assume is conforming.
Yeah, I mean, again,
That's all.
if there was, an original structure in the back, or if there was something that was a historic, if it contributed to the district, or if there was something of any historic value whatsoever, the demolition and reconstruction may be a different story, but I just don't see anything of value in this. And even if a little bit of that living space on the left of the column is even visible from the street, I think it's an improvement over
I
what's
was just
there.
gonna say that, it's going to
Yeah.
enhance the aesthetic.
Um,
So
again,
you're gonna have all this space behind the garage.
Yes,
Still,
it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
there.
Wow.
That grass, yeah, that's the
can have
kids'
a
wiffle ball
pool.
field.
Yeah.
I can't get rid of the wiffle ball field.
Well, I think the Murphy's house is one of the most attractive houses in our neighborhood, and then, it's really, and you did your renovation, I thought it was a big improvement, so.
Thank you.
Very nice.
yeah, and so, there's two things that I'm going to draw off of it. Are there any questions or anything from, Zoom? No? Okay. Obviously, the plans and specifications, submitted by architect Anthony Condoris, dated, job number 24034, dated 6/19/24. Sheet 3 provides us with significant information, as well as that which has been submitted as part of the application, and the representation that wood is going to be utilized as far as building materials is going to be consistent with the house that we've previously approved, and we've complimented you on, and that will include the use of 1x6 hardy board, clapboard siding, architectural roof shingles matching the existing. And something that we've been pretty insistent upon is not just snap-in grills, but as has been specified here, permanent colonial style grills as part of the sliding doors. And again, there is a depiction and a illustration of a 10x10 square column cap and base. And again, it indicates siding to be selected by the owner, but you've already indicated what that's going to be. So you have to stick to these things that you're representing. You're going to utilize as far as the construction, but I think with that predicate that I would make a motion to approve the application based on the representations of the applicant, based on the application, and based on the Anthony Condoris design specifications and blueprints that have been presented.
I'll second that.
Mr. Pavlik,
Yes.
Mrs. Drummond,
Yes,
Mrs. Mullen,
yes.
Mr. Schluter,
Yes,
Mrs. Pacora,
Yes,
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Very good. Congratulations,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much for coming. Good luck.
Thank you, not a hard part.
Do you want to, you need to make?
I have, digital files.
Okay, let me just write
You
this down.
give me one. Did you give me one copy of the large size? Do you recall?
No, we submitted one to Joe.
Joe, if you could send over one copy of the full size plans that I can have for the record for the historic, that would be helpful. Sure.
This is a raised seal copy, and they need it
Yeah.
unless you want to,
Yeah. so
leave
you
this
can
one
take
with
that
us.
one back, and then just drop one off to me. at some point. I have the digital, but I will for this file. Sure, it would be good to have. I think you can, right? I just don't have that. Yeah. I guess we can probably request it now. I'll talk to you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. The next thing is the approval of the August 27th, 2020 meeting minutes. I've reviewed them. I make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Pavlik,
Yes.
Mrs. Drummond,
Yes,
and Mr. Smith.
Yes. Oh, just read it.
Okay, Historic Association. We have some people in the audience. We have Katie Pastore, who's gonna provide a
Yeah.
report. Congratulations on a successful garden party.
so I'll just kick it off because I know the liaison report and the bicentennial hall report overlap.
You
so-
can merge the two.
So I think I shall. I'll let Tracy or Elise speak to bicentennial hall specifics, but we did have the Historic Association hosted the fundraiser at the home of Bonnie Torchivia, and it was a huge success. I haven't heard the numbers yet, but But it was just a great success, both the fundraising part and I think the awareness of why we were fundraising. And I think anytime we bring people forward a little bit closer to understanding the purpose of the fundraising, it's a good thing for Fairhaven. I think people are really interested in the history. And it coincided with the 166th anniversary of the church. And they had they had two services on Sunday. One was in the original Fifth Chapel. We call it Bicentennial Hall Historic Fifth Chapel. And I don't think words can describe what that was like to be there with the congregants there. And ironically, their electrical keyboard did not work. And it was almost fortuitous because we literally heard I felt, I think these ladies felt that as well, what it must have been like to sit there 100 years ago in that space, to hear the voices and singing. And I told Pastor Smith afterwards, I said, we always complain about the acoustics in there, but you have the gift, my man. He projected, he did not need a microphone.
Absolutely.
I think I did,
Yeah.
but anyway, it was a huge success for Fairhaven. And there's an event coming up at this chapel with the African Children's Choir. So anyway, so in terms of what the Historic Association is there for, to promote the history of that building as well as others. I think we all did a great job and very exciting. And I'll let these ladies speak to some of the specifics of Hall because there's often some things happening.
Did you get any feedback from anyone who was maybe an original congregant at the church?
Oh, what's interesting is there was one woman that I saw, she was doing this and pointing and saying this, and she was touching everything. She wanted to see the kitchen, and I think unfortunately I didn't. I'm sure maybe Tracy or Elise had an opportunity to talk to them. I tried to get Mrs. Blake to come. She's 106 years old, and we think she's the oldest living person in the community that actually sat in those pews, but her granddaughter said, she's loyal to St. Thomas in Red Bank, isn't gonna break that loyalty to come to Fairhaven just yet.
I think they probably would have made an exception.
But certainly there were descendants of folks that worship there. I don't know if Melanie Woods must be a descendant of the original. But it was the building was packed. We had a full, we saw people keep coming in as we grabbed more chairs. So I think we had a vision for what that space can look like used for, in addition to the estuary, which was the other event, which showed what that space can be used for. So it was a very exciting couple weeks.
So one of the questions about the usage of it is kind of unfolding when you have these different types of events.
Yes.
So we'll hear you guys from the Historic Association. If you want to come on up. And from council, so.
Hello, everybody. Okay, Katie covered it all, but, we had a wildly successful party 2 weekends ago for the 19th annual garden party, and save the date, it is 20th, September 6th, 2025.
Oh, really? Oh, my God.
But do you want to go over the bylaw before I do this?
Yeah, so last time at the council meeting, we authorized the ADA work, awarded the contract. We know Bicentennial will be closed as of October 1. We anticipate, and this is a conservative estimate, that by early spring, that work will be complete. The hope is we're gonna get the intention is to also award the contract for the punch list items. The contractor was lined up to do that work, his business is pivoting, and so we're kind of back out looking for the right contractor. We do have some leads that hasn't been finalized. But the hope is that that work will be awarded and underway at the same time, so the building is closed really for one window of time. And that by the springtime or early summer, it'll be back open.
Mhm.
After which, the work at that point is to maintain it. So we've already committed to the, as you guys know very well, the 10-year maintenance plan. That has not been produced yet.
But when it is, that'll sort of set some direction for DPW, or if we need to go out for artisans or vendors of some type, but at least the roadmap will be there. And then the, what we call buckets, those are the first three buckets. The fourth bucket has to do with, what we hope will be funded through a planning grant. The application is in. If awarded, it would provide Fairhaven with this, up to a little over $50,000 in planning services to, engage in a series of community outreach sessions to identify hospice use, for building. As you've already touched on, we as a community kind of have a feel for what we think is going to be a right fit there. But this work will take it a step farther and start to look at what sort of accommodations might need to be made to accommodate those types of programs. Say, for example, if we wanted to put some of the archival material on display, what types of cabinetry or specialized, I mean, maybe now it's digital. I think there's a whole universe of things out there that I don't know, but we'll be led through that process as a community and identify how best to do this if we get the planning grant. I think that's the complete picture for right now.
What are some of the punch list items that some of the general things that you envision during this hiatus when the building's going to close?
Have that. If the commission had not received a copy of the punch list, there was one step we were waiting for the contractor, the GC rather, to write it up in his, like, because we wrote it up, we did the site visit, and then, you know, like anything, you're in real time talking and listening, and sometimes the listening ends up being different than what was spoken. So he was gonna write up what he heard and understands to be the punch list items. And well, I think we just got that. So I'll make sure the commission gets it. But it's patch and paint. It's attention to the stained glass windows. It's clean, clear the basement, make sure it's watertight. We have to fix the foundation in certain areas. A lot of the water intrusion that we know has been a persistent problem, has to do with the grading and flashing that's related to, will be addressed during the ADA work, since a lot of it is where the ramp interfaces with the exterior of the building there. That touches on it. It's inside, it's outside, it's the grounds, and making sure the building is really tight and clean and ready to go.
Yeah.
And then regular maintenance would occur ongoing. But I'll make sure to see the punch.
Sure, you know, obviously we give deference to the professionals that, you know, are putting that list together, but yeah, it'd be nice to know what's going on.
Well, we included a lot of things that they might not pick up, like, for example, the front lot.
Yeah,
You know, for those of us that are in and out of that building all the time, there are a lot of quirks that would go out of costume to, that really should be probably addressed just for basic security and things like that, so. It
And
also has
you're gonna take care of the windows, like, again, they're peeling again.
The windows.
That's gonna be all done,
Yes,
yeah, okay, good.
yes.
And related to Art's question, and ironically, I was asked a question by a member of the senior community because there's a lady in there. And I realized that although we may all be aware of what the punch list means, she was very concerned. Now that they're in there, they love the space.
Mhm.
And one of the seniors came up to me and said, "What do you mean renovating by hall?"
Mhm.
She goes, it's sacred space. We love the feeling of it. We love, and I looked at her and I said, "Oh, no, we're not messing with that. We're not messing with."
Renovate
feel-
does kind of, they suggest changes, it's a repair.
Correct.
Right?
But it made me realize, putting on my association hat as well as this hat, I think we have a job to do now, that just to make sure the big public knows, because what they're seeing right now are the big projects, the police station,
Yeah.
big renovation, DPW, big renovation, the old schoolhouse taken down, replaced. So when they hear this as yet another project in the borough, they may jump to things that it's not. It is a very common sense punch list. So I think we'll have some work to do with our verbiage.
Well, we actually have a communications meeting tomorrow, and
Yeah.
this is on the list of what you want to communicate, so I'll take that.
Take that, 'cause I think-
Back that.
So it was a beautiful
Yeah.
question because it came about because they're so excited to be in that space.
Yeah.
So before any rumors get out there, I think it's important to go to exactly what Tracy said, what the parameters.
It's repairs, it's really
Yeah.
deferred maintenance, which.
Yeah.
You know, plagues a lot of public grounds and buildings, but it's a result of different maintenance, and this is just going to do the work that.
And you're absolutely right.
Eliminated.
The people that go in, nobody's touching that lock. We all know about that. Yeah. People aren't, they don't know that some of the things that we're noticing. So anyway.
Great. Congratulations, guys, on hard work, doing a great job, you know, headed in the right direction, to say the least.
Okay, there's two more things I want to bring up to you guys. At the day after the garden party, Rumson HBC had a historical walking tour. They awarded, I don't know how long they've been doing it, but it seems like a few years now. They awarded 4 different houses and like Murphy's establishments, awards through the town, and there's a QR code and all these things, and on the back, Pat, if we flip it over there, it tells a little bit about the history of the home or the place, and it was so cool, and it was, they had a great turnout. My sister, she's on the Rumson HBC, and she got to run it, and it was just so informative, and a lot of people from the town were there, and it was, they got to go and tour the houses and go to the, and at Murphy's, it was like fun, just day, and I would like to see if maybe we could do something, if we haven't already, but maybe the association and you guys, we could maybe do that one day, or maybe just plant an idea of doing something like that, because it was so cool. And such a good opportunity for other people to see things that they haven't seen before.
So what did they do? They had a walking tour with historically significant houses, historic.
But it's also recognition, right?
Yeah, they are
Landmarks recognized and awarded.
Is there like a criteria that they used, or was it just sort of the subject?
I don't know, I will find out.
Is there, and there's a preservation, you know, I don't really know what Rumson has in terms of, like, I know there's a preservation commission, but I don't know, what their rights and powers are or what they actually do. And I don't really know the extent of the, historic district in, or the breadth of what their jurisdiction is.
Yeah.
You guys know it all?
I don't know.
It seems like we could get that information for you though.
And I do think.
Well, certainly you could get it by just calling to get the section of their code that spells out their. If you just ask for the historic district ordinance, it'll have.
I mean, I can look it up online, I guess.
Probably, yeah, even faster.
But I do think there is one part of it, the nice overlap or liaison between the association and the commission, is that one of our charters is that number 6, which is promote historical significant things outside of the historic district, like to be the caretakers for the town. And I think we've always sort of, that hasn't been the primary charter, but I think that's a perfect project, maybe,
Yeah.
that
It was
that we could work together on if the commission feels that's a good project.
Yeah, I think it's great idea. So looking at 2024 Rumson Historic Preservation Commission Award winners. And there's a little blurb on the rear, on the back page, on the rear side of it, of the page. That just gives a little description of each one of the sites. There's some general information, and each one of them is given an award for quote, stewardship, long-term maintenance of a historic property. So that, I assume, is a general recognition of a house that's been maintained in its original form or close to it, and just a, you know, a general recognition of just maintenance of the house.
We
with
did
the
that,
structure.
Fairhaven has done that in the past.
For structures outside of the district.
No, in the district, we have 114 buildings in the district. And, guess what? My house was picked.
And I think that, you know, one of the things that we did do, that I know that it was more of an association, I'm not certain that the commission had any dealings with it. But the Century House, the houses that were demonstrated to be 100 years old, which again now are houses built in the 1920s, which doesn't seem ancient, but.
And guess what? I have about 50 of those brass things that we can give out to people, but they have to do their homework first and do the history of their house and have it all printed out. But that's what I would like to do. I have about 50 of them at least. So it's not just for the historic district, it's for anybody in town.
I don't know.
You might consider a call for nominations.
What?
It'd be something the HBC could consider doing, reviving a Century House if you wanted to. Even just put out a call for nominations. You have to explain the Century House a little bit, but with the bus and the communications partners, like Michael was mentioning, that's something, if you wanted to take a moment, acknowledge,
Yeah.
maybe even with what the Lisa's sharing or separately, obviously. that's up to you.
The whole point was to have the homeowners do their research
Yes.
and then give it to us. And we actually, this was like a long time ago. And there's solid brass medallions that go on your house. And so, but if they did their homework and that you presented, they also had to pay something too, but not a
Oh, they
lot.
did.
Yeah, nothing, just enough for the medallion. But
That was sort of like just a couple of citizens got together to promote that. It wasn't like anything that was, a function of the historic association or the commission. But that's something that probably should be championed by the association, especially with their ability to, let people know about it. And I think that it's something, I think maybe it could come before this commission to sort of formally recognize people that have century houses. Because obviously there's a historic, component of it.
And that was all started way before the Historic Association was formed.
What's very cool about this is that this map visually, it's big, it goes all the way from, on the river, all the way down to past Ridge Road. This is a huge geographic area, so this has got to be obviously more than a historic district. But I can visualize something like this for Fairhaven, where you have the historic district, but then recognize other important, if it's the century
Not
place.
even
And a simple
necessarily.
map like this tells the story of our town.
Yeah, but it was like 100, if your house
Yeah.
was 100 years old, that
lot
was.
harder.
But it doesn't only have to be 100 years old. It could be 99 years old. If it's a house that's completely maintained would fit that sort of the same criteria. We're all ears for something like that. If you guys are interested, I think it's a great idea. I like that idea.
Okay, on the agenda. Yes, okay, one more idea, kind of. So when talking to Rumson HBC, they would like to extend an invite to you guys to start maybe talking about the 250th quincentennial coming up. And they would like to exchange ideas about how Rumson and Fairhaven are gonna celebrate that and what that looks like, if that's a parade or cool plays or whatever that looks like. They would like to start the conversation with you guys, so you should be receiving, a formal invitation.
So it'd be like a joint affair or no?
More just like a brainstorming, so it could be, we could do something in combination with them, but they wanna just kickstart the discussion and figure out.
Who is it that wants to do that? Is there anybody in particular on their commission that has sort of suggested that you've spoken with? Because I'll be happy to reach out to them.
Yes, my sister Anna, really, she will be reaching out to me tomorrow.
Okay, what is her position? Is she on the
She's been
commission?
on the commission, yeah.
Okay. GREELEY,
Mhm.
and what's her number or email? You can even give it to me later.
It's just Anna really at Yahoo. Yeah, it's just.
Your Yahoo account too?
Yeah. what?
I have a hot.
If it gets kicked back, I'll let you.
Okay.
Not bad, you know.
But also that is kind of something that it's on the association, to-do list. We have to start figuring out what that's gonna look like for the town and what are we gonna do? And, I sent a picture to Tracy a few weeks back. I was in Pennsylvania and they have this huge 250 quincentennial like bell that they're honoring or making and forming and celebrating this huge. We have to do something really cool and really big. I don't know what that looks like. I don't think it's a bell, but we just start the discussion so we can start planning.
When would that be? Is there any particular day that is,
It's in 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, July 4th, yeah,
Yeah.
2026, so.
I think time would be necessary so we can all work together.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, I thought you were gonna say like, that
Yeah.
No,
6 months or something.
Yeah, but they have
Time
like plans
flies.
and designs and it seems like. we
Does
can start.
Rumsden have an association like we do?
No,
So they just, their
it's
commission
just
handles.
HBC, yeah, handles everything. Yeah. It should.
And do you know one way or the other what they have a designated historic district?
I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
either,
I think it'd be helpful for you guys.
Yeah, I will. I mean, this is
Yeah.
obviously coming before.
I'm curious about it too, Art, but I don't know.
We have Susan O'Brien who's
She
raising her
will, yeah.
hands, and so you have some insight on
I
it.
just looked it up, it doesn't look like they have a historic district. They have, it's mainly in the older part of town, but there are, houses listed in West Park and also on Rumson Road. So it's scattered, but it seems to be centralized more, around River Road in that area. Yeah.
Yeah, probably like Red Bank, but recognizes separate structures and no necessarily particular area.
I owe you another, report, council report. Again, Michael and I are both on the grants committee. And earlier this year, we submitted a grant. It's called a grant, but really it's permission to be located or to be included in the Black Heritage Trail, which is a New Jersey thing. It's part of the New Jersey Historic Trust office. And, we have more than one landmark that will qualify for inclusion. The first one we applied for was Bicentennial Hall. And I just want to give a shout out to Chris York. When he arrived to start his job here, I met with him and we did a handoff. And as recently as today, actually, he was finalizing some things. So if we are chosen, and some of my preliminary meetings with the folks who administer this program are, it looks very good for us. And so would an application for inclusion for the original Black School, well, maybe not the original, but the Black School, and also potentially the Players Club, and maybe even the Green Book House. So what we would get if we're included is a really nice monument style sign, as well as sort of a VIP reception, really kind of, we're located on that materials produced and proliferated throughout the state and so on, but
What's the significance of the Players Club as far as the Black Heritage?
well, it wouldn't exist without the Black community from that period of time. And I don't really know, because obviously that's under different ownership now, and so I don't want to go somewhere where we might not have the right without certain permissions. But as I understand it, and there's probably a lot more to learn, that structure was brought about by the Black community around the vaudeville area, and it was an important part of how artisans came and went from Fairhaven. Yeah, that was called, it was a club, really, place to hang out and entertain and community. So probably I've spent a little more time getting to know more about it, but I mostly wanted to make sure you guys knew Chris York was helping. And when that comes back, we'll certainly let you know. And we talked about stakeholder meeting in this month, which would ordinarily occur on Thursday. And if I could get a show of hands, like, I kind of just covered a lot of what would occur at the stakeholder meeting, but many of our stakeholders are here tonight. And if you feel like we need to sit in a room together and talk about the status of everything, then I'll try to get that together. But since Chris started, you know, you guys probably understand there's a lot of committees in Fairhaven. It's been difficult to kind of pace his committee. He's all over. He comes to every meeting he can. And certainly initial wave of meetings to introduce himself, but we're all still trying to get a regular scheduled meeting. So this one has not yet hit his regular schedule. How do you guys feel like you're getting an update here, or do you feel like we need to meet?
I don't think there's a necessity to meet. I think we're getting the information here. I don't know if anybody else has a different thought.
There are no new decisions on the horizon at the moment, or else I would insist on a stakeholder meeting. But I also don't want to drop the ball in case there's a sense that we need to be.
No, I mean, you've addressed everything here that would be addressed, as you said, at the stakeholders.
We are actually all here, that's true.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
All right, great.
Thank you. I'll make sure you get
Thank you,
posted.
guys. Thank you. Excellent, guys. Thank you. Right. Environmental Commission. What we got?
I got nothing for you.
All right, any public comments, any thoughts, anything on Zoom? All right, Nothing on the motion that we adjourn. I think we second that. or-
I'll second that.
Second that.
Do you want to take a roll or do you want? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Bachelor?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullen?
Yeah.
Mr. Schluter?
Yes.
Mr. Zara?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Elise, do you want this back?
Well, I want to scan the QR code in. You know what? I would like to read it. I can now give it back to you.
We'll give it back.
That